And yeah, it helps us get in front of like so many different types of audiences. You know, the fact that we could like play a show with Breakup Shoes and it makes sense, and we could do Zona Fest and it makes sense, and we could also like open up for Doja Cat, and then I could go and like open up for Earth Gang, which was no band set unfortunately, but like I just did that by myself, and like we could coexist in all these different realms. And it's like not odd, you know, like we don't stick out at all because we're incorporating so many different genres and so many different influences.
So he'll also do drums and bass and stuff. I think he'll play an actual bass and then drums, you know, it's all like DAW, like garage band type stuff.
Yeah, it's tough to get like a live recording of drums.
Yeah.
I've been learning that firsthand through like our recording projects, which, you know, like Tropicana and Sunkiss, my last 2 singles, are all digital drums, and then we just do raw like analog drums, acoustic drums, to like layer in like textural pieces.
Yeah.
But for a couple of the songs that we're doing completely DIY, I mean, we're miking up everything. It's like 8 microphones just to do the whole kit, and it takes a lot, especially to get different, like in hip hop, you want different drum sounds throughout the album. You know, you want different snares and different kicks and stuff. So, I mean, luckily I'm not super involved in that process, and I'm kind of hands off, and I'm just like, I trust y'all. But yeah, dude, getting those acoustic drums is definitely fucking difficult. You know, it's not just plugging into an amp or like a fucking direct in for a keyboard or some shit. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. You said you have 8 microphones on the drums alone?
Yeah, I think it's 8 for the drums because, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and do the math, but yeah, there's like 2 toms, snare, kick, 2 overheads, the crash and the ride. Yeah, it's somewhere in the 6 to 8 range.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's like a whole day of it's literally just a drum day. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Here, I had a really good time going to your live show.
Hell yeah.
We can talk about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to do an intro. Actually, okay. I think I might start trying to do intros.
Let's do the fucking intro.
Yeah. All right. So if you're from Arizona, you probably have heard of our next guest. Hey. He has a new single out right now called Tropicana, and he also has some new shirts on his merch store, which we'll put the link below. Welcome to Tall Skeleton. This channel hosts music videos, short films, animations, and more podcasts like this. So without further ado, Pariah Pete.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. A lovely introduction, by the way. You know, lovely.
Thank you. You watch enough Hot Ones, and you're just like, how does that cadence?
Yeah. No, that's great. Work? Perfect cadence. I'm honestly happy to be here, bro. Last night I went on the Instagram because I've been wanting, like,
we've talked about it.
Yeah. And I went through and, bro, you've had some amazing guests on.
Oh, thank you so much.
Like, I mean, Snotty, Malik, June, the filmmaker. There was just like a bunch of people while I was going through. I was just like, damn, this motherfucker's had like everyone on here. So I'm honored to be here.
Thank you.
I appreciate the welcome of the community. Tall Skeleton, what up?
Thank you. Trying to have the legendary guest list.
Yeah, it's pretty fire so far. Even the people that I didn't even recognize, like I would like click on them and it would be like some like shoemaker who was like working with like Adidas or something.
That was Diane.
Yeah. It seems like you've built a really cool community here. So
thank you. Yeah. Well, you know, I just I've always been a very artistically minded person, and so as an adult it's been exciting kind of building my life around being around those types of people. And I think the podcast is like a fun, like sort of hobby way to talk and meet with people even if we don't have like a project together at the time.
That's very cool.
And so it's nice just building up the guest list.
I love that. There have been many of times where I've considered doing the Pariah pod.
Oh yeah.
Due to a lack of infrastructure and just like time, I never followed through with it. But yeah, just kind of for that reason of like, I mean, there's so many dope artists out here that I fuck with that I wouldn't necessarily like want to make a song with because we may not like correlate in that way. Sure. But I would love to have a conversation with them and, you know, like build that rapport and
do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So. Well, you're a pretty infamous person. I feel like you're kind of everywhere.
Yeah. I you know, this article just came out about Tropicana, and they were mentioning how like I'm a veteran in the scene, but I very much still have like what they coined as like the fresh artist smell.
Sure.
Which is cool. I mean, I hope it smells good. But yeah, I mean, it's just like I said it in Sunkiss, not to fucking refer that so quickly, but I'm a rookie and a vet. Meaning, like, I've been a part of the scene, you know, for like 7 years now. Since 2016 is when I dropped my first song, when I performed for the first time, when I'm really like, because I was kind of on the outside looking in. No pun intended. That's my first mixtape. Holy shit, yo, bangers already. I was on the outside looking in, like from like 2015. I was already like watching people like Dorian Coulter. Who didn't you have him on this podcast?
So I didn't do the show with him, but we've done 2 music videos. Yeah.
So 2015, I'm still a junior in high school. Like, I already knew of people like him, and like I knew of Injury Reserve, and you know, I was like just a fan of the scene. So pretty much immediately once I started dropping music and I got like opportunities to perform at First Friday on a street corner, I immediately met like Jalopy, Bungus, Shrub, Mastermind, all the people that became into 20 pounds. And I just like became a part of the scene so quick, and I feel like I've gone through so many different like iterations.
Yeah.
That like now I'm here, and I'm still like very young. You know, I just turned 24, but like I feel like I have such a catalog of experience and truly like such a portfolio and resume that I'm so grateful for, because I could take that anywhere, you know.
Yeah, well, you've always seemed kind of like just the king of like putting yourself out there and being everywhere. If you'll turn your attention to the screen.
The screen.
I actually put together a presentation, if you will.
The Pariah presentation.
Now, I don't know if you're aware of this. I'm sure you are, because it seems very intentional. But I feel like anywhere I go, you're there.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Now, you and I are both from Arizona.
Yeah, indeed.
And as we know, there's a larger valley area.
Look at that.
A big artistic scene. And I feel like...
I think that's me right there, actually.
Well, it's funny you say that, because anywhere we go...
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Now
that was that one day. I remember this.
Yeah, these arrows are here to triangulate.
Yeah, I like this arrow right here. You know, it's unique.
You've had some memories up on that skyscraper.
Yeah, absolutely.
At any given moment, Pete might be there.
Yeah.
Now,
I dropped off a ticket right here. Oh, yeah, that's...
You're watching a Fear of Making Out video, and Pete is there.
Yeah.
But, you know, you go further, you're watching a rap battle, and who's in the background?
New York City, yeah. That's
Pete.
Yeah.
This is in New York?
That's Staten Island, yeah.
See, it seems like you can simultaneously exist in Arizona and New York.
Yeah.
You're reading Phoenix Magazine?
Phoenix Mag. Look at that. Best hip-hop act. I was the only hip-hop act.
YouTube headquarters.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Also Pete.
That was a crazy experience.
I'd love to go into all of these individually.
Yeah, but is there more?
There is more.
There is more.
Now,
we could hit him.
Again, if this wasn't enough, you're watching a Theo Vonn podcast.
Bro, yeah. Dude, this is amazing. I love this.
Somehow, Pete also shows up.
Yeah, dude.
Now, possibly the most alarming, my own father's house.
Oh, wow.
You see, my brother was having a party.
This was a great night.
I show up to my dad's house, and I get a poke on the shoulder, and who's behind me but Pariah Pete?
Yeah.
And later on, Snotty Man wound up performing, and you were a hype man. And
he had me like hype him up or some shit.
Yeah, you were on the mic doing ad-libs and everything.
Yeah.
But I remember walking up to Brandon, and I said, Brandon, Pariah Pete is at our dad's house right now. Which, I don't know if you're aware, but I've spoken with other artists, and I think we all agree, damn, Pete is really out here. So that was a real surreal moment for me.
Wow. That presentation was 10 out of 10.
Thank you. We have 10 more.
Oh, wow.
No. That's the last.
20 out of 10.
That's the last PowerPoint for tonight.
Nice.
But if we would like to Google or YouTube anything at any point, we do have the computer.
Dude, yeah, and you know, I try to be there for the people I love, you know, like at these events. That used to be such a huge part of like my artistry, man. I used to make sure I had every single Friday and Saturday off, and I used to go to anything that I saw on Instagram, and it was for the genuine sake of like being a part of this community. Like I think a lot of up and coming artists get like this whole idea of like, I fucking hate the term, but like networking, and like comes off as super disingenuous, you know, and they're like, oh dude, like let's exchange the Instagram, which no hate to that, because I've been there and I still do that, you know, like if I'm having a genuine connection, I'm like, yo, what's your gram, brother, sister?
Yeah. It's the low stakes way of asking someone for their number.
Yeah. But also, for an artist to exchange that, you know, I feel like is important sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I used to just get every single Friday and Saturday off, and I used to just go out, you know, and I don't do that so much also because I feel like the Phoenix scene, like, there's not as much going on as there once was, you know? But, like, even that translated into, I remember there was one night that genuinely changed my life, which is the reason why I, like, do band shit now. Yeah. It was in August. It was a night in August. Yeah. In 2019.
It was windy and snowing.
Yeah. In Phoenix, Arizona, it was snowing.
Yeah. That's how you knew something was up.
Dude, there was no rap event going on that night, and I remember I requested it off for some sort of event. It probably got, like, canceled or some shit or pushed back. And so I saw something on Snapchat, which why the fuck was I on Snapchat even in 2019?
Yeah.
And it was this girl's, like, house party, but, like, also, like, she, like, set up, like, 10 bands to perform.
Oh, wow.
And one of the bands that night, Fear of Making Out.
Great.
Fletcher Malloy. Who else performed on that? Regardless, those were, like, two huge relationships that blossomed from that night. I went to this indie rock alternative house show. First time I've ever been to something like that. I was always in the rap scene, you know?
Sure, yeah.
And going to the DIY scene, DIY band scene, like, one, showing up and getting recognized by people a part of that scene and, like, feeling welcomed from that community was huge because I was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't even know y'all. Like, how do you guys know me, you know? Yeah. And then just, like, the camaraderie. Like, I remember I was, like, moshing at a certain point with, I think it was literally a fucking, like, PBR, which is, like, the best beer to drink at one of these events. And
I thought you were just going to stop right there.
No,
just the best beer.
No, only at one of these events.
Yeah.
Only when you're around the alt crowd. But I like fall down in the mosh and someone like picks me up and I spill my PBR and they like pull a PBR out of their pocket and they're like, there you go. And I remember just that was my moment where I was like, dude, should I fucking go outside and smoke an American Spirit and like buy some Doc Martens right now?
I don't know why, but somebody pulling something out of somewhere and not expecting it, I think is just the most evergreen, funny thing to do.
Yeah. It's also so like gangster though. It's almost like a sword.
Just to have what someone needs at any given second.
Dude, I need more shit in my pockets, man.
Oh my God, I did an episode with my brother and like halfway through he just started pulling out little chocolates.
Wow.
And I gotta say, it brought up the episode quite a bit.
Are you hungry?
No, I ate a whole sandwich before this.
All right, more for me.
You bring a little kid. No.
I don't think I've ever had a coconut bone before.
It's pretty good, right? You don't know how coconut.
No, it is good. It is good, but I do like the other one. But that one was good.
He needs a sea salt.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say actually.
Oh yeah. You got like a hot dog in there?
Not yet.
But yeah, dude, I went to that house show and it was such like a monumental shift for me in terms of me recognizing, oh, there's a whole other area of this scene that I was so unaware of. They're unaware of us. We're both flourishing. We should work together.
Like
and then
the bands in the rap scene.
Exactly. And so what came from that was the first band show I ever did, which was live from Planet Mercury, which had Fear Making Out, Fletcher Malloy, Tide Pools, and it was a cross of neo soul, rap, indie, whatever Fletcher was playing at the time, which Fletcher could fucking do it all. I don't know how familiar you are with Fletcher.
I've heard the name, but I don't really know them.
Bro, he's doing everything one can do right now.
Okay.
So, yeah, and...
you said Fletcher Malone?
Malloy.
Malloy.
Yeah. Dude, he's doing... I mean, I think it's Milooy. He's a part of Garbage Barbie right now. But then he was also just on a big-ass tour.
Garbage
Barbie. Yeah, they just played a show last night in L.A.
I'm sorry. I guess the movie Barbie just came out. So I'm gonna It's okay. Sorry, just keep telling your story.
It's all good.
We'll get used to the Googling.
Yeah. It's a new aspect.
Yeah.
But and from that came like just my desire to have the rap scene work more with the band scene. Yeah. And since then, I feel like I've seen it happen more and more. I'm not gonna say like that's the reason why, but yeah, dude, that night was like super huge for me. And then from there, I DM'd every single band that performed that night, which was very obnoxious, very much Pariah Pete is everywhere.
That should be your album.
Yeah, dude, Pariah Pete is everywhere out now. That's crazy. And I just DM'd everyone. I was like, yo, like, when's your next show? Yeah. And I got all these next shows, and I would just start going to them.
Yeah.
And, yeah, from that, a lot of beautiful friendships, like, started. A lot of, like, genuine fandom started for me, you know, like I grew up strictly on hip hop and like R&B for the most part. Like I never listened to Nirvana till 2019.
When you put out that song and video, I was actually like curious about what your larger music taste was.
Yeah,
you know?
Dude, that was around the time because that came out in 2020. So I wrote that around the time that I started going to like these house shows. When I started being like, oh, you know, like I'm a musician myself. Like I should probably like explore these like uncharted territories.
Yeah.
I heard like Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd in like the 8th grade because I fucking was smoking weed at that time. But I never listened to like Nevermind by Nirvana. I never listened to like, I mean, anything, dude, name anything. Like fucking Sublime, I never listened to.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah. So now, I mean, nowadays I listen to mostly non-rap, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I listen to just a wide variety of shit. But in my house, my siblings were playing like hip hop and R&B, just early 2000s shit. And then my mom was mostly playing like just jazz and like neo soul and like Nora Jones and stuff.
I had like the exact opposite experience.
Just rock?
Yeah, because my parents are artists, and so they've always liked really good stuff, but most of what they put on was rock music. So like the first music I was listening to was like Red Hot Chili Peppers and Beck and like just Arctic Monkeys, TV on the radio, stuff like that. And it wasn't until high school that like I heard Kanye, which, you know, that's like the gateway for so many people because
the gateway drug.
It's just so accessible.
Yeah,
you know, like
it really
there's at
is.
least one Kanye album somebody will like.
Yeah.
You know? And then that led to me liking like The Roots and Kid Cudi and Childish Gambino, and then and now there's just like all this cool like experimental stuff going on. So if anything, I now want to loop back around and start finding good bands again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a funny like resurgence to like go all the way back. But yeah, man, like just getting into that type of stuff like totally shifted my trajectory, and then like working with the band from that, you know, like I mean Jacob Unterreiner, my guitarist, my bestie, my brother, he approached me at a show that he did with Jalopy Bungus, the live band show with Jalopy in 2019 at the Nile. And he just walked up to me afterwards. Snotty was also on that. And he was just like, yo, we could do something like this for you. And it was really just supposed to be that one-time show, the Live from Planet Mercury with Fear Making Out and all them. And then what just happened was like genuine friendships just started. And I started liking the live band version so much more than like what was on my Spotify at the time. Yeah. And from that, I was just like, all right, like, let's just keep doing some more shows. Immediately after that, we opened up for Doja Cat, like 3 weeks after that, which was crazy. And then that week is when COVID shut down. So it's kind of crazy. I never thought about it that way because, like, that would have been such a natural time if the band were to disperse.
Sure.
Like, we just did a big headliner show. We did Doja Cat, and then, boom, COVID. That would make so much sense if we were, like, just never got back together. But those friendships continued, and we started writing more material. And once shows started happening again, our first show back actually was with Breakup Shoes, the homies, which is some straight up like bedroom indie rock, you know?
Yeah.
Which was genuinely one of the most fun experiences I've ever had at a show. Honestly, I love Breakup Shoes. Those are the homies.
No, they're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just said so many different things I want to ask you about.
Yeah.
Honestly.
My bad.
No,
and we still have to go over the the Pariah Pete's everywhere.
Oh, that's
too.
so true. Oh, yeah. All right. Well,
too much.
We'll
too
be
much.
good for a whole episode then. Well, first of all, okay, so that night happened at, you said, the Mercury.
Yeah. So Live from Planet Mercury was
Live from Planet Mercury.
Yeah, it was for my album Mercury, just calling it Live from Planet Mercury.
Well, yeah,
you know?
I was about to ask. It seems like that word has traveled with you. It's the name of your album, and then also the band you play with as well are Mercuries, right?
Yeah. So
did those cause each other? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So my first car ever was a 1987 Mercury Marquis, which we could pull up in the look up Pariah Pete All Good music video. Okay. And I'm just driving around. We could mute it, but I'm literally just driving around in that car for the whole time because, you know,
is that the one where Cesar is with you?
No. That's a charcuterie though.
Oh,
look at this car. So I'm in high school at the time. This is, you know what I'm saying, all of 20 pounds and everything.
Yes.
And
you're in high school at this time?
Yeah, I was a senior in high school. Like, you could see my parking pass sticker somewhere in this music video. But this is like the quintessential perfect, like, you're a rapper, you know, you have like a dope, it almost looked like a Cadillac that, like, you know, DeVille.
Yeah, it just has like a classic car vibe.
Exactly.
A nice build.
So my first music video ever, I just drive it around pretty much, and I'm just rapping everywhere with a fucking Arizona
like a Diamondback
Yeah,
shirt.
dude, it's like the most like Phoenix like
Yeah.
hip hop shit ever.
Yeah.
2 days after we put the shit out, I was driving on 32nd Street in Union Hills. I was driving home after like a smoke session or some shit. Back when I used to do a smoke sesh. Like, dude, I haven't said those words in so long, but dude, that used to be a part of my vocabulary.
Yeah,
Like,
just penciled into your agenda for the day. I'm
yeah,
gonna
dude,
go
like-
hit the smoke sesh.
dude, 7 p.m. smoke sesh, dude.
Yeah.
8 p.m. fucking car gets totaled by a drunk driver.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I'm just driving through a green light, and a huge ass minivan just like comes right in front of me. And then I'm either going to like swerve into incoming traffic, or I just slammed on my brakes. No airbags deployed. I was luckily like okay, you know, but I hit them, totaled my car, and then I like went off on the side of the street.
Yeah, so did you just like fully T-bone them?
Yeah.
Okay, fuck.
Yeah, and they were totally fine too. Actually, like his trial just got brought up recently. They like sent me
From that?
Yeah, they just like sent me a letter saying if I like, I think he's trying to like, I don't know how legal shit works. He's trying to like renew his case or some shit like
Yeah.
that, like lessen his charge or whatever. And they asked if I like wanted to come testify against him, and I was like, no, dude, like that's fine. Like I should go to court and thank this man, because genuinely, like that accident, obviously it was horrible, and he shouldn't be drinking and driving. You know what I'm saying? I'm not condoning that, but
Yeah.
that event, immediately after that, I was like graduated from high school. I started couch surfing for a year. I like was exiting a relationship. Like so much change occurred, so much external change occurred that I had to like learn how to like internalize those things and like find stability within myself. And it inspired so much music, and it inspired that whole album, Mercury, you know? And so using the band name, like, and naming it Live from Planet Mercury, you know, like, I think just at one of our first rehearsals, we were like, oh, it's gonna be Pariah Pete and the what? And one of the first names was fucking horrible, dude. It was Pariah Pete and like the Space Funk Adventurers, which is bad.
I feel like
But-
even the era where those types of band names were regular, they still
Yeah.
were kind of like
Yeah.
just so campy.
Yeah, exactly. But it was already, you know, in that realm. And then I think, I mean, I won't take credit for it, but I think I did coin like, yo, what if we do the Mercuries, you know?
Sure.
And yeah, it'll just like always be such a huge part about my story. It's always gonna be my debut album, you know, like I can never change that. And yeah, that whole experience really changed my life. So
Yeah.
shout out to Mercury, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So do they exist as a band that performs under that name outside of you, or are they the Mercuries when they're with you specifically?
Just like when they're with me. So yeah, like Malik, the drummer, and Jacob have been friends forever. They've been playing together in different bands for like 14 years or 12 years or some shit. I think they said it at the show. Just in different stuff. Like I'm not even like fully aware of it.
Yeah.
You know, they have like history.
Yeah.
And then I think just Jacob assembled Malik and Gus as the bassist, who I think they met through working together at School of Rock. So pretty much everyone in my band was like a teacher or is a teacher once upon a time. And so they met through School of Rock. I think Jacob invited Gus just to do like the Jalopy project, and then they were also just doing like some random live videos here and there. They did one with like Capo Bravado and stuff, and yeah, and then there was a certain point when post-COVID, when we were doing shows again, where Jacob was like, yo, we really need to bring in like a keyboard player and like just a background singer that could sing everything, because obviously I have so much like I have so many vocalists that I've worked with and collabed with over the years, and sometimes it's hard to like make sure that like 4 people are present for every single time I do a show. You know, if I had to hit up like Saya and like, you know, all these people and be like, yo, can you sing your part on this night? And so Jacob was like, it would probably be wise just to have one person kind of singing all that stuff. And so we had 2 artists that we were interested in, and Carly was like just the gut instinct, and then Carly's like become like one of my closest friends now. Like she's fucking so sweet and so awesome, and she used to be a part of a neo soul project called Hyperbella.
Okay.
So yeah, everyone's coming from super different backgrounds. Malik used to be a metal drummer. Gus Gus is just funky as fuck. This man's the funkiest dude ever. Jacob has been a part of a lot of like, I don't even know the genre, just fucking rock projects, maybe. I don't know. Like, he used to be the lead singer in one of his projects, too, when he was in LA. And then, yeah, Carly coming from the neo-soul background and stuff, so.
Who was hitting the saxophone at the live show the other night?
That was the homie Mark, so he was a part of Kulululu,
Okay.
or Kululu. Yeah, I always say their name wrong. I always add like an extra Lu. But, yeah, he was just a part of their band, and we just asked him to do the whole, like, just the two of us cover, so.
It was so funny. You guys were playing the show. I was, standing off to the side, and some guy walks up to me, and... Well, next to me, rather, and he has a drink, just kind of enjoying the show or whatever. And then you guys start calling for, sorry, what was his name?
Mark.
They're like, all right, Mark, we need Mark, saxophone, blah, blah, blah. And, like, the guy's next to me, and, like, we're all just, like, looking around, and then he, like, takes a sip, and then he walks up. I'm like, oh, it was the guy. Like, he was really, like, just taking his time for a sec, just real casual.
Yeah.
Went up there, went crazy on the saxophone.
Yeah.
And then just as casually just walked off, and I was like, damn, that was ballers.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was awesome. But yeah, so for the most part, yeah, the Mercuries are really just the Mercuries, like when we're all together. And then of course they all have like their own like little projects going on, and not little projects, but they all have projects going on outside of that. And like Gus will play with some different bands and stuff. But yeah, for the most part, it's been like a pretty fully committed project that we're all like contributing to a lot. I owe so much of the artistic growth that I've gone through in the past couple of years, and so much of the great music that is now coming out, so much of that is owed to them, so
yeah,
I feel super lucky, man.
No, I mean, I don't mean to say this as a way of devaluing you before those guys, but I think it really has elevated your musical presence because the studio recordings are one thing, but I've seen you live, I think at least twice now.
Okay.
And, just like, I think the energy is like really good. Like, it's very clear that you guys have good synergy, and I think that it kind of helps the crowd have a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
As well. Like, the stage presence is great.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, it helps us get in front of like so many different types of audiences. The fact that we could like play a show with Break Up Shoes and it makes sense, and we could do Zona Fest and it makes sense. And we could also like open up for Doja Cat, and then I could go and like open up for Earth Gang, which was no band set, unfortunately, but like I just did that by myself, and like we could coexist in all these different realms, and it's like not odd, like we don't stick out at all because we're incorporating so many different genres and so many different influences, which I think is a testament of like the different backgrounds that everyone has.
Yeah.
But also just how like, I mean, you mentioned accessibility earlier with music, like that's always been one of my top goals. Like I love, like Kendrick Lamar is my favorite rapper ever, because Kendrick Lamar, we could go talk with some hip hop heads right now and talk about the best lyricist, of all time, or the greatest rapper of all time, and Kendrick Lamar is like undebatably in that top 5 conversation, top 3 for me.
Yeah.
And we could go from there, and then we could also like go to fucking like H&M right now, or like go to a gym, and like there's a chance that like a Kendrick Lamar song is gonna play.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to pull off, being like talented.
Yeah.
And popular,
and then critically acclaimed,
and then like not like hacky pop, like lowest common denominator type stuff. Like to somehow do all of that at once is like so tricky.
Yeah,
I think in any medium.
Yeah, that's absolutely. That's like always been my main goal. Which also, my influences growing up, like obviously like coming up in the early 2000s, like the first music I ever heard, like the first rap song I ever heard was In the Club by 50 Cent.
That's
and
funny.
50 Cent also had that appeal, and like who else was around 50 Cent? Like Eminem. Like I can't run from the fact that I was a big Eminem fan once upon a time. But he was making stuff that, had like that appeal, and like, I mean, talk about like Kanye, like those have always been like my biggest inspirations for the most part. Andre 3000, like all these people that knew how to make incredible art, but also somehow it was palatable for a bigger audience.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you playing with a band is cool too, because like in hip hop like concerts, that's not the most common thing.
Yeah.
And there's certain artists where it wouldn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
Like JPEG Mafia shows work because he's walking out there with his laptop on like a shitty table and just going crazy by himself.
Yeah.
His beats don't really translate to instruments so well. But then Childish Gambino, like as early as the Camp tour, he's always played with a full band.
Yeah.
And I've always just loved that a lot,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely works more for certain things. And I mean, that's what Jacob, when he approached me for the first time, he was like, dude, you're using these like jazz samples, the real like 90s influence type beats, the lo-fi hip hop production that like, you know, when you take it back to the essence, to the root of all these instrumentals is real instruments. So kind of like reverse engineering it back to that has made so much sense, to the point where now, like, it used to be that they would reinterpret songs that I made in the studio with my producers, and now like for the whole new album / EP, it's all stuff that we're like starting from scratch, you know. So
I remember, I always have watched like a lot of late night, and I remember on Jimmy Fallon, Tyler the Creator made his, I think, TV debut playing songs from Wolf.
Okay.
And I remember later on Twitter he had said that like playing with the Roots that night was pretty much the first time he had ever played his own music with a band, and how it was just like an exhilarating experience, you know? And it's
can you bring that up? Actually, I don't.
Old Jimmy Fallon shit is really hard to find.
Really?
Yeah, just because like, I don't know, NBC, they are hawks for their stuff. Yeah, I remember he did. Oh yeah, well, old shit. Yeah, he went on there with like Mos Def and
what?
And Haji Beats.
With Mos Def?
I don't know if that's this I swear, maybe I'm thinking of somebody else, but it was him or somebody. Hey, it's editor Zane from the future. So I looked into this and I found an article that did explain that Mos Def was there during this performance. Whether or not he showed face on camera at the show, I don't really know. I think he had to have at some point for me to even know about this. Like, how would I even know about this? But I did verify Mos Def was there for this. However, I don't think he performed with Tyler. All right, back to editing this podcast.
Wow, I don't think I ever saw this.
I actually want to make...
This is scary.
the scary era of Tyler.
Yeah.
I kind of want to make a video essay, actually, about how I think Jimmy Fallon has the best music performances of any late night show, because his show gets a lot of, flack these days just for Jimmy, like, laughing too much or being too agreeable.
Yeah.
Have you never seen that meme?
No.
People make fun of Jimmy Fallon a lot for being, like, just too people-pleasy and, like, just kind of, like, laughing at everything, basically. But I think that his musical performances, they've always had like super just interesting acts with like interesting set performance and shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, here's Tyler like with the Roots, and they just have these like girls in like hospital gowns and shit.
It's giving The Grudge.
Oh yeah, and then
bro, Tyler's growth has been crazy to watch.
Yeah, and like I remember, I don't think I super knew him at the time, and so seeing him like run and like hop the couch, like do shit like this, I'm like, oh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into if he ever did perform with Mos Def, because I could have swore that was a thing, but yeah, like so nuts.
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's like Mac Miller doing the Tiny Desk concert, with like the full string quartet or whatever.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, it's really cool to see musicians like hear their own music that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Hey. I am getting my umbrella.
Is it raining out there?
Dude, the storm last night was crazy.
Yeah. I was at work, and I walked outside and inhaled like a whole gallon of dust in my lungs.
It's like kind of nice though at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
I'm like,
just because we don't get it that often.
Yeah, I'm gonna get like black lung from this, but it smells good.
All right, back to the program.
So what's going on here with you
and
YouTube music?
So that was crazy, man. So I've had like a really dope introduction to like just this whole underground scene that exists, like outside of Arizona and stuff, of all these people that I've really just met through like the internet and like TikTok. So I mean, there are like content creators like Annabelle from That Good Shit, who, I mean, she just like mentioned Tropicana in a couple of her playlists, and she's shown me like hella love throughout the years. And basically like she's just used her platform to showcase so many dope up and coming independent artists. People like Tommy Richmond, My Name Isn't J-Mac. Dude, there are like literally like so many people that like I've just like developed, especially like Tommy, like just a friendship with. And he was just someone I found on like TikTok and followed him, and he ended up following me back. And
yeah, are these all Arizona people?
No. These are people like all Tommy and My Name Isn't J-Mac are from Virginia. But yeah, there's just like this huge community out there of like really dope artists that are like really making a name for themselves.
Yeah.
That I've been like somewhat welcomed by, or welcomed in that like friend circle and stuff. And so when I go out to New York, like I'll hang out with them and stuff. And basically, I think it was My Name Isn't J-Mac was at YouTube Music, and he was just posting about his experience. And I think someone who like posted on his story, I just like went to their account and I saw that they worked for YouTube Music, and so I just followed them. Like if I ever like see someone who's clearly like industry related, and I have like, I had like 25 mutuals with them, I was like, let me just hit them with a follow, you know what I'm saying? And see what happens.
Like the credentials have come through.
Yeah. And so pretty much like I shot her the follow. Her name's Brittany, and that same day is when I booked my flight to New York, and so I posted on my story, I'm gonna be in New York, yada yada yada, these dates, like hit me up. And she responded to that story, and she's like, yo, just checked out your music, I'm a big fan, come through like on your first night in New York, and like I'll give you like a tour of the office.
Yeah.
And so I went over to like the official YouTube/Google headquarters in Manhattan, which was just a fucking insane experience, like just getting that like invitation in my email, and it's just like from like the fucking Google YouTube, like it's just official as fuck.
Yeah.
And so I thought the whole thing was just like a cool like little tour. And basically like what it turned into, which the whole tour was super dope. Like I'm like walking through the hallway and I see like loafers on the wall. And I'm like joking, and I'm like, oh, like y'all got my loafers on the wall. And then I like look beneath, and it's just like a plaque that's like, these are the loafers Michael Jackson did like the first moonwalk in.
That's
and,
so
and it's
crazy.
just like, and then right next to it is like Jimi Hendrix guitar and a bunch of stuff, dude. Kurt Cobain's guitar, Grandmaster Flash's like little DJ set and everything, like the turntable, like it was just like memorabilia,
It's like the Museum of England. They just got everything.
Yeah.
How are they getting these things?
Dude, it's Google, it's YouTube, man.
Google would just have Jimi Hendrix's guitar. They're like, we're Google. We get it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, she was like super cool, and we were just talking about like music the whole time, and pretty much the whole tour like ended up in like the music room where like she was like, if you have any unreleased shit, like go ahead and play. This is a good time. And I played her some songs off the EP, and she really loved it. And yeah, like just a really like great friendship has grown from that. And from all the people, I know I'm like blanking on all the names of the artists and stuff, but like there's just like a whole community of like really dope people out there that are mostly outside of Arizona that have like taken me under their wing, which is super encouraging for me because I've done so much here, but my following doesn't like extend or like reach further out that much. Obviously like, I'm for the whole pre-order of shirts, like I'm shipping to like 10 different states, but like I'm not in an opportunity right now to like go on like a tour and like really be bringing people out. And so just like expanding my like friendship circle outside of Arizona has been like really cool.
Yeah. The Google and YouTube people especially seem kind of exciting to be friends. I mean, they kind of hold the power.
Yeah. So
I feel like in the back of my mind, I would just be quietly hoping I would get to be good enough friends that I could kind of pull them aside and be like, hey, can you just pump the algorithm a little bit?
Yeah.
just what's one more channel?
Yeah.
Put me on the list.
It was dope, man. Yeah, that was a really cool experience for sure.
Yeah.
I love New York, man. Like I've gone out there 3 times.
Okay.
Second time I ever been out there, I was recognized in 3 of the 5 boroughs. So Pariah Pete is
crazy.
Truly everywhere. That might have to be the title of this episode at this point, bro.
Pariah Pete is everywhere. So you were recognized just organically walking around New York?
Yeah. So one of the times I was recognized was at Annabelle's event, who I mentioned earlier from That Good Shit. She was doing an event with like Overcast, My Name Isn't J-Mac, Tommy Richmond, a couple other names. And I was just in like this basement venue in like, I think it was like the Chelsea Market, whatever venue. And someone just walks up to me and they're like, yo, like, did you drop a song named Nirvana in 2020? And did you open up for Doja Cat around that same time? And I was like, yes, that is me. Which was just crazy. Like just walking around Manhattan, who ended up being the homie Donnie, who like, we just had like some mutual friends and stuff. And then a couple days later, we're outside of the Crumb concert that we got in for free because it was like a part of their whole summer series.
Yeah.
and I'm just outside, literally on the curb with Jacob in Brooklyn, and we're just like, you know, there's like these 3 18, 19-year-old kids, and they're like, yo, is that Pariah Pete? And they're like, yo, dude, Pariah Pete. Apparently, like, they have like a mutual friend who like used to live in Arizona, who like, you know, put them onto my music.
Yeah.
And they were like just homies and some fans now. And then what was the other one? I actually don't remember, but
So somebody's gonna be walking around like the desert of Dubai and be like, "Is that Pariah Pete?"
no, dude, for real, dude. Dude, I'm blanking on the third, but I was recognized in 3 to 5 boroughs.
That's sick.
Yeah.
I've been to New York once. I liked it a lot.
I love New York, man.
Do you think you would rather live there than Los Angeles?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if I were to make a move primarily for like music business and music success stuff, it would completely be New York City for sure. That feels like a second home for me, like truthfully. Like, I just feel like so in the groove out there, and I have such like an expansive network of friends and stuff. Like, I know probably like 50 to 60 people personally who are all really dope artists, musicians, you know, themselves and stuff. And yeah, LA, I don't know. Every single time I'm in LA, I always like feel like imposter syndrome. And I'm like always, even when I'm around these like cool industry folks, I always just feel very like detached from the social setting. Maybe that's just those events that I was at during that time. I still have like a lot of homies who live out there, like, and people I love out there and stuff. But yeah, LA just seems a little bit more like superficial. I feel like the fact that, I forgot who said this to me, but like the fact that like most of the successful people and also most of the people just like struggling and on their grind and stuff, like they're still sitting next to each other on the subway. And I feel like that does something to like shift your consciousness in a way that like you're not detached from, you know, other folks versus like in LA, I feel like things are a little bit more cliquey. But I may be wrong about that.
Yeah, I honestly had... I previously disliked LA, but the only times I had ever gone, it was like for like 24 hours, like 48 hours, like barely any time. And this year I've been there for like 3 different trips for like a good 4 or 5 days. So this year I've actually come to like it a lot more, honestly. And I have a lot of... You good?
You just say you like it? No, I'm playing.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of creative friends over there, and like obviously the weather is amazing, and I don't know. So something I gotta remember is I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess a place could be like filled with like, I don't know, a type of person that, like you were saying, like being kind of superficial, you know. But I'm like, as long as you have like a group of friends or something to make stuff with, it'll be okay. But I did like New York a lot.
Yeah, I love that. Cool if I take a pee break?
Yeah, go ahead. All right. I should like play solitaire or something.
I knew it was gonna happen, man.
All right, we are in the first quarter of the Pariah Pete interview. So far, I think it's going pretty well. Reports are saying that the quality of the episode will remain pretty stable from here. Hopefully, if it's going to change, it's only going to get higher. He only almost died one time, and then, okay, so what was going on here?
Yeah.
Being on... also, this is like 144p.
Yeah, dude, this is like the worst photo, the worst screenshot.
I could not have pulled a worse screenshot. So you were on like Theo, Vonn, and Brendan Schaub's podcast for whatever reason?
Yeah. So this is COVID era. This is when I like got into like comedy, the whole comedy podcast circuit, you know, like Tom Segura and Theo and like Bert Kreischer and all them, and I just like became like a genuine fan of all them and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember I was listening to one of these episodes and they were trying to bring on a fan to be like, this is for King and the Sting. They wanted someone to be like in the little like Sting area or like whatever. Yeah, like Culture Corner. That's what it was called. Yeah. And they wanted to bring on a fan. Chappelle Lacey's actually on the show. He's from Mesa. From here, right? Yeah. That's the homie now. Him and I have interacted a few different times. He'll come in all the time for just like burritos at Crescent Ballroom.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And so my whole pitch was like, you have to make like a 45-second pitch as to why you'd be a good person on the show. And I had the perfect pitch because the Pariah Pete pitch, because I had like a genuine connection to all these people.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, yo, Brendan Schaub, I've heard in a past episode you said that your son's favorite artist is Doja Cat. I'm a local artist here from Phoenix, Arizona. I open up for Doja Cat. Theo Vonn, you're half Polish. I'm fully Polish.
Yeah.
The producer of the show used to like sleep in his car. I'm like, yo, dude, I was kind of there too. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't sleeping in the car, but I was like couch surfing for a year.
Yeah.
Chappelle Lacey, you're from Mesa. You've probably performed. He was in, still is like in a metal band, I think it is, or like a punk band or something. And I'm like, we've probably performed at some of the same venues. You know, we may have even crossed paths and stuff. And yeah, I just like made this whole pitch about like I'd be perfect for this show because we have a talking point for all of us. And they all really liked it, and they're laughing at me, like, you know what I'm saying? That's one of the funniest people on earth, Theo Vonn, and he was like, I like this guy. Yeah. That's not his fucking voice at all.
No, that's exactly what he sounds like.
I like this guy. And also Andrew Schultz was on this episode.
Yeah, I remember also. He was, like, on the couch.
Yeah, and he was just like, I like him. Just seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I remember you shared this clip, and I was like, this is so surreal.
Yeah, it was wild. And so, yeah, on this episode, they aired like 5 submissions. This was like the first time that they allowed, like, that they aired submissions and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was really between me and one other dude who had the best reactions. And, just Pariah Pete and Theo Vonn.
Well, when I Googled it, funny enough, it did come up because of you
sharing
shit. It on Facebook.
Oh, that's wild.
Here, actually, yeah, I had the screen cap. Might as well.
Bet. I was couch surfing like all 2018, so let me know. I can easily go out there. I'd easily be the best.
He's connected, man. I love that.
I like this guy. It's
like his
authentic.
attitude.
I've done
It's
podcasts
real.
like
His
this every single week, so just let me know.
Amen, bro.
Nice young man.
I just like him.
Yeah,
Sweet.
Nice.
He is.
Really
There's something nice
sweet.
about him. There's
Yeah,
Ryan
there he
Cabrera right there,
But
man.
there's
He's
another
gotta
like
get-
this dude, which is crazy.
That's kind of true.
Yeah.
Well, you've gone through different hair eras. Before
Yeah.
you had like
The spiky
you
anime hair.
You had hair that like anime hair.
Yeah.
Somebody could draw it.
yeah. Dude, that used to be like such a huge part of like my artistry, honestly. Like that was something that I got recognized off of so much. Like I used to be out in public, they're like, Pariah Pete, I recognize your hair.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and it's definitely changed so much just from one of the times I was out in LA with like Saya and Fear Making Out and like Avery and Skateson, and I think we were at the beach one of the days and my hair just like kind of naturally fell down.
Yeah.
And Avery, who's like my sister, what up, little mama Aves, she was like, Pete, she's like, I'm gonna be honest. She was like, the girls don't like the spiky hair. She's like, this looks a lot better. And I was so like analytical about it to the point where I was like, okay, I like this new hair too, but my next like music video or like my next like song drop had like photos of me with spiky hair, so I was like, I just need to keep it that way. I need to keep it spiky until that song comes out, and then I could fully transition. And yeah, that's what I did. And now I'm here, man. I've been growing it for like 2 years, which is crazy.
That's it. Yeah, no, I remember the change. I feel like a lot of music journalism gets very obsessed over saying musicians have matured or whatever. Like this is the maturing at Tyler, the Creator.
Yeah.
And I feel like for you, it was like, whoa, long hair Pete. Now. He's the centered, down to earth Pete. Now.
Well, it's crazy because it is like the separation of like when I think of spiky hair Pete, I think of like the Pariah Pete that was part of like 20 Pounds and rapping over the lo-fi hip-hop production, 90s beats, you know, the boom bap shit. And then when I think of, you know, the long hair Pete, I think of like doing the band stuff and doing the jazzy stuff. And nowadays, like, I mean, so much of my like focus has like shifted around just like my health and wellness, you know, like incorporating like breath work, you know, like I'm on almost day like I'm probably on like day 200-ish of like doing breath work every single day. And you know, just
like sitting down doing meditation sort of breath work.
Yeah, so it's changed a little bit. So it used to be a lot of Wim Hof, which Wim Hof is technically like a form of like hyperventilation that like oxygenates your blood and like sends a bunch of blood to your organs and stuff. So it really gives you like a natural high effect. It's literally just like you do that like 40 times and then you hold your breath. And then you hold it for like maybe a minute, and then you do another round, and you do 3 rounds of that. and you feel crazy afterwards. If you're down after this, I would love to do it with you.
We can do it during if you want.
Bro, I mean, it's kind of long.
It's kind of long?
Yeah, it's like 10 minutes.
Is there a mini version?
Not to get the full effect.
Okay, so it would really just be demonstrating.
Yeah, it would be kind of awkward for a podcast.
Okay.
But I love the idea.
I've been trying to think more of like doing segments in addition to just the serious sit down talk or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's an awkward 10 minutes,
it's like a whole 11 and a half minutes of just silence, just and I'm stuffy right now. They don't want to hear that.
I would love to get to the point of like having a show that's so goated that then you truly can do whatever you want and
just fuck off in that way.
Get away with stuff like that.
Yeah. Hey, who knows? Maybe one day.
I remember one of the first times you and I like had like an actual conversation, and it wasn't just like, hey.
I think it was in your dad's backyard.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was.
I think that's when we discovered we both were like really into comedy podcasts.
Yeah.
Because I had been listening to like Chris Hardwick's show Nerdist.
Okay.
Do you know him at all?
No.
So he's a comedian who like started his career hosting like a zillion MTV reality shows and shit.
Yeah.
And then he started doing like Comedy Central show. He was just like this show host, but he also was a stand-up. But like in the early 2010s, he had, one of these first podcasts that got a little bit bigger, and so he could just get in like any guest from like Harrison Ford to Paul McCartney, like one of these guys, Yeah. And so between him and like Joe Rogan, you're getting like all these like long form conversations with just celebrities, and I realized like, whoa, this is way better than late night.
Yeah.
And eventually though, like just funnier stuff started coming in, and that's where you get like Tiger Belly with Bobby Lee, or like H3H3, and like that now is like mostly what I listen to is like those types of shows. But
I love that.
I don't have a ton of friends where like that's also their thing.
Dude, it feels like it's like a 40-year-old white man thing. Like when I think about,
that's what I embody.
Yeah, dude. Like specifically for the ones that I was really listening to of like Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer, like the Two Bears One Cave. Like when I think of like what a fan of theirs looks like, it's just it's that guy.
Well, I actually went to see Bert Kreischer's movie like in theaters.
Yeah, how was
The Machine? It was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
The thing about Bert is I think a lot of people hold this opinion. He's good on podcasts as like a funny person, but I do not think he's really a good stand-up.
Really?
I think he's a pretty not good stand-up, to be honest.
Interesting.
And I don't think this is a hot take. I think if you read any comments section,
I mean, a lot of people do kind of. I think he's the most like beloved person that people talk relentless shit about.
Yeah. Well,
at least in that community,
Well, I think what I've realized is that like every comedian has a podcast now, and some of them like their show is a little bit boring, but they're a good stand-up, and other people it's reversed where maybe they're just not super formatted for on stage, but like just kind of talking or whatever, like they shine.
Yeah, which is so cool that like they have the opportunity to like gain fans two different ways. Like, I wonder if there's a form of that a musician can be, where people are just like, I like him more this way,
Well, Danny Brown now has the Danny Brown show.
I fucking love that show.
Yeah.
Dude, I submitted for the freestyle, bro. They haven't fucking aired it, bro.
Man.
Pariah Pete is everywhere, Pariah Pete's not there yet.
Add the Danny Brown show.
Yeah.
Well,
I think mine, not to cut you off, I think mine was just like too well produced. I had like a homie like really film it, and then I had like lyrics in the bottom, and I was like in a park and shit.
Yeah.
And like if you've seen what they're airing the stuff that's like, homie's recording it with his iPhone 5, and it's like showing off the bottom of his chin, and it's just really bad.
I guess since he's a rapper himself, if I Google that, it'll just give me him rapping, not their. Yeah, but actually, this might be
I just battled on you.
Yeah, like they.
This is the best one. This one's actually good.
Got plenty deals.
Spin the wheel.
Yeah, because he's a battle rapper.
Oh, okay, bet.
Yeah. And those are the best rappers, to be honest.
The battle rappers?
I mean, they're not the best rappers, but yeah, it's just like a whole different league of lyricism that's like so much more.
Yeah.
I don't know, articulate and like just needing substance, like you can't just be up there like flowing,
Right,
you can't rely on a cadence or like a dope beat or anything like.
Well, it seems like it's just own kind of art form in its own way, because obviously it's like that versus streaming a song. You're both hearing somebody rap, but just like the whole like atmosphere of watching a battle rap video, or I'm sure being at one of those events. I never
so
have.
So much fun, dude. You need to come out sometime.
Yeah.
So everyone that used to be a part of 20 Pounds, I'm the only rapper that was a part of 20 Pounds that's not a battle rapper as well.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Jalopy Bungus, he has a huge battle coming up. I actually don't know if I'm allowed to announce it, but he's going back out to New York for a battle.
Okay.
Shrub is a phenomenal battle rapper. He just battled. That should be out now. Mastermind has like one of the craziest track records. He's done like 25 battles, and bro, doing a battle is pretty much like writing a whole mixtape worth of material.
Yeah, no, I don't even understand how you just have that.
Bro, it's like 10 minutes worth of raps. It's 3 rounds. Most rounds on average are like 2 minutes and 30 seconds to 3 minutes. So that's like 9 minutes of just rapping material. Like, that requires an elite pen and to be entertaining the whole time.
What would you assume the percentages of like pre-written versus like off the top of your head? Because both are impressive. I think sometimes you'll see people in comments like, this isn't impressive, he clearly wrote this, and I'm like, I don't care.
that seems like just such like you're I don't know, you're like a fucking boomer, bro, if you're expecting these people to be freestyling all of it. It's probably like 99.9% to 1, you know, or like to 0.1. The only time I've seen a freestyle happen at these battle rap events, you know, and like the ones that I watch on YouTube too, which I don't watch as much anymore, but like people like in the URL and stuff, they're only rebuttaling in a freestyle. So if you say something about how I spilled ketchup on my shirt before the battle during your round, and I'm like, damn, that bar was fire, I need to rebuttal that in this moment, I'll start my next round with like a 4-bar phrase about like, you said I got ketchup on my shirt, da-da-da. Like, you know, like, that's the only time that a freestyle really happens, and it'll only happen for a couple bars, you know, and some people are amazing at that. There have been some crazy rebuttals that I've seen. Do
you feel like there's good camaraderie between the rappers, like going against each other?
Yeah.
Because I imagine there's also a lot of like, I hate this guy.
There's definitely a little bit of both, and it's kind of like when you just, dude, it's so like I relate it so much to like martial arts and to like boxing, you know, because like they really are up there like fighting each other verbally.
Yeah.
But I mean, like just like almost every single fight you see, like they almost always like hug each other, dap each other up afterwards. Sometimes they're the battles that like there's more animosity, and then sometimes there's the battles that they're like completely just friends. Like Shrubhead's last battle was first Migs, who's like his genuine homie. So I'm sure that potentially like messed with like the motivation, because there's not much like anger there, but like they're kind of just like sparring at that point, you know, like prove who is the better lyricist on that day.
Shrubhead has good like energy, I think, with his voice and his flow. When he comes in on Snotty's song "Don't Smoke Weed," love that verse.
Sometimes I feel like it's needed, but I don't know about you. I even puffed aloud when I wasn't allowed to. Smelling foul on the bus ride home from the plug. Hit the shower like it's a must. I float with the dust.
Yeah, dude, Shrubhead's I think one of the best, if not the best, like rhymer that I know. Like, obviously when you're a rapper, and even when you're not a rapper, like it's pretty easy to like predict rhyme pockets sometimes. You know, like if someone rhymes with cat, you know, hat, you know, like just like that type of like predictability. Shrubhead has like the opposite of that, which I think is such a testament of being a great rapper and being a great writer, is like surprising someone. I think Danny Brown actually said that like on his podcast, is like when you don't really know where they're going, but they're arriving at these crazy bars in a way. And yeah, Shrubhead does that to such an immaculate ability. And yeah, the fact that like him, Jalopy, Mastermind were these people that like still the homies. Those are my brothers for real. But like at the time when I was like not very experienced and not very confident and not even very like, you know, as good as I am today, that was like boot camp for me. Like being around these people that I look up to and I was like such a fan of made me so much of a better rapper, you know? Steel sharpens steel, man.
It's interesting with rap and lyricism, like you said, being unpredictable, because also like I think a major strength is even like stretching and transforming words and like how they sound to like force a rhyme that like maybe like the words don't literally rhyme, but like the way that you're like performing them, they do, you know, just like creating these pockets. Yeah.
I do that shit a lot.
Yeah.
I'll do the half rhyme like
Yeah.
a motherfucker and just like pronounce it a little differently.
Well, one of my favorite examples is Jay-Z. He said like you got holes in your zapatos or whatever. Like he flipped like shoes to
Zapatos.
Spanish and then also like pronounced it
Wrong.
really bad
Yeah.
just to like got holes in your zapatos or like however he said it.
That's a great example. I love that.
yeah.
But yeah, man, battle rap's just like a whole different league. And there was once upon a time that I was supposed to do one battle, but that shit's just not me, man. I just don't care, especially at this point. Like I just do not. I'm trying to like make music and like make the best performance possible and like write a great chorus. Like I have no desire to like try to like prove my rap worth with like other rappers.
Who's a mainstream rapper who would not belong in a battle rap? Like someone...
Almost all of them. Bro, all of them.
Yeah.
Dude, there is only like a few like
imagine like Chance trying
no,
to
dude,
like
I think Chance can battle.
You know what? Actually,
dude, Chance is actually a really good rapper, and I think
I'm not saying he's not. Like his vibe, but actually, you know what?
Dude, I think he did battle like around.
I take it back. I'm sorry, Chance.
There you go. But I mean, like a lot of the. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what to call them, but, you know, like, the rappers that are doing the more, like, melodic stuff, like, I don't think... No, I think some of them would actually be pretty good. Like, I think, you know, if Lil Uzi tried, I think he could do a pretty good battle. But, yeah, who could not battle, man? I don't know.
Well, I remember, like... See, Tyler, I think, is interesting because he's sort of... maybe changed a lot of young people's view of like what rap is or can be, you know, by making a lot of new sounds, but then also kind of making fun of tropes and stuff. And I know like a lot of the time, you know, there'd be these like early Vine and Tumblr era videos of him and Earl and all of them just dicking around.
Yeah.
And instead of like actually freestyling, he would just be like saying the dumbest shit,
Yeah,
you know, like humanly possible because
Yeah.
he's like, that's not what I do.
Yeah, dude, 20 Pounds did that shit so much.
Yeah.
And that's like still one of the reasons why like, I mean, this may just be me like blaming it, but like I feel like I can't like freestyle seriously because there have been like hundreds of nights that like I'm just driving my Corolla and it's just like Jalopy right next to me, Shrub in the back, and they're freestyling for like 25 minutes about like some bullshit. Respectfully, that was the whole point. It's like some damn near parody shit. They have a whole mixtape online.
Oh, really?
If we want to use this, go to SoundCloud, look up Philadelphia's Finest. And dude, it's a whole freestyle. It actually
Would it be this?
no. So it would actually look up Philadelphia's Finest, infamous MCs. It's a whole freestyle verse. No, is it not gonna fucking...
SoundCloud's search engine
fucking sucks.
It's like ass. I don't know why I can never
It might be
find...
Finest with like PHI. But don't look up Jalopy. Look up infamous MCs. It's a whole...
MCs. Like that?
Yeah? Okay.
Possibly.
All right, we're close.
Are we getting there?
Yes. Okay, so go to albums, I guess.
Yeah.
Play... Scroll down.
Yeah, it's gotta be here.
Right? Unless they... Yes, right here.
Right
go
here?
down. Play, yeah. Just play Fuck 'em.
Okay.
Play the first 30 seconds of Fuck 'em.
Okay.
It's all game time.
Bro, I'll listen to this from time to time.
You know what the fuck
This shit
it
is genuinely one of my favorite sources of just humor. You know, like it lights me up. They recorded this at like 4 in the morning in my room when I was asleep. The whole thing is one take, and they have like choruses, bridges, outros.
Just came straight out the pen. I got
Right to the notepad. Got right to the pin.
Got right to the win.
It's all just bullshit,
Got right
you
to
know?
the crack.
Yeah.
Like they have like different
Right to
names
the
and
sin.
stuff. And
Up in the whip and I'm driving it right.
Yeah.
Fucking your bitch, she kinda
tight.
tight.
Yeah, it's funny.
What's this infamous MC's page? Is it like a collection of...
It was it was a group that they were
Okay.
a part of prior to 20 Pounds.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, just to go back even further,
Yeah.
I know who you are because of the 20 Pounds Eye of the Storm video.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how I
Classic.
found that.
Yeah.
But when I was graduating college and then just going into like full-time filmmaking is when I started making music videos with Lil Qwerty.
Okay.
And so I had wanted to expand into like, okay, well, Qwerty is like my favorite rapper now. So who else is out here? Clearly the Arizona scene is great.
Yeah.
And, you know, little I know this whole cinematic universe is going on. And so I think when I was just doing my research into like who was around, I came across your group. So I knew all of you guys like as a collective.
Yeah.
But you all had a lot of very clear personality, from like, you know, the spiky hair to like you know, Jalopy's name, obviously. And so that's where I found you.
Yeah, dude, that was such a huge part of like my artistic development, you know. And it was something that like I really just wanted to reflect these huge inspirations of like TDE, you know, like how like Kendrick Lamar, Schoolboy Q, J-Rock, Absol could coexist together, and they're so different, but they make like they're stronger together. They make more sense together. And I always described us as like we're like the same fabric, but we're weaved so differently. And it just makes sense to, you know, to continue the fabric weaving metaphor, to like just have a blanket, you know, over all of us. And so like 20 Pounds was like my idea to like have us all work together. And yeah, I mean, it was so important for me, and it was an amazing 2 years. Like I said, like I compare it a lot to like boot camp in like the sweetest way possible, of like for my artistry and for like my rap ability, and you know, like just shit like that, you know, like the whole freestyle mixtape. Like we had so much fun together. Like I remember when we started first hanging out, like it always just felt like we were like just literal children, you know, but like just grown kids. Like we used to be able to just, oh, you just want to get together at 4, and like not like we could just be doing anything, and it would be so fun. Like we always had that vibe, like if we've been friends forever, you know. And like honestly, like the music scene and like my artistry, I was thinking about this like on the way over here, and I think I mentioned it a little bit at the show. Like all of my best friends today I have met through the music scene, and that's like truly so special and so beautiful. So like if anyone watching this, listening to this, like has any sort of passion, like literally just lean into that, because that could shift your trajectory of your life so much. Like I mean, where I would be without music is like so incomprehensible, you know, genuinely. And like my name, Pariah, meaning an outcast, like that's how I always felt at like schools and stuff. But like when I got a part of this music scene, like I felt very much a part of the community. You know, I don't feel like an outcast. You know, Pariah Pete is everywhere. How many times can we say it before the pod's over, bro? But yeah, man, like it's genuinely so beautiful. So yeah, if anyone has any sort of interest, like genuinely just lean into that shit, because it's important.
I totally agree. I feel like when I was in high school, I was a good student, but I was sort of aimless, not really thinking about what I was going to do with the rest of my life. And so it really freaked me out when I was graduating and everybody else had a plan. I was like, I feel like I just got all these good friends. Now I got to figure out a whole new thing. And so when I dove into filmmaking throughout college, like that was huge, being into that community, and then graduating and doing stuff with Qwerty and kind of expanding into this larger music scene, which then introduced me to all the like photographers and models and visual artists and the clothing people, like their space. It's kind of crazy you know, how much there is.
It is cool. And it's cool how, like, I mean, you mentioned like models, you know, fashion designers, you know, print people. Like it's crazy how we could all like simultaneously like coexist together and like shape this like artistic community, you know. Like even like being a part of music, like taking that step out of just the rap scene and like getting into the indie scene, you know, like was so important for me, you know, and like just meeting all these different people. Like it is cool, man. And it's funny to see, because it just feels like we were all the people, if we were at a high school, like that we just all came from these different parts of Arizona and of Phoenix, and like now we're finally like in the friend group that we want to be. You know, which is a reason why like I just want to implore all like my peers and stuff to continue doing more stuff. Like I don't know, how do you feel about the trajectory of like the Arizona scene right now? Like I just
I'm constantly like really encouraged and then also conflicted about it, because I just personally, I have difficult times with like change, and I'm a very indecisive person, honestly. Like I kind of like to get comfortable and then kind of do what I can, but art is sort of a profession where you're not supposed to get too comfortable and you kind of have to keep things moving. So like, you know, my biggest collaborators have been QWERTY and Tech Club and Young Nut and, you know, their engineer Noah. And, you know, they're all out in Los Angeles now. And then a lot of the filmmakers I know who are from here, they're all out in Los Angeles. And so a lot of my friends who I've worked with the most have been sort of gone. But then, you know, I've been becoming a lot better friends with Fear of Making Out. Yeah. And then, you know, Elier is an amazing producer and director. So I had them producing my recent projects. And I'm only recently kind of starting to get to know like the Their Space guys more. And, you know, here you and I are. And so it's like, I think as far as how I feel about how everyone is doing, that's great. Like the talent couldn't be higher, you know? It's just like, I think now that I'm getting into my like mid to late 20s, I am having the existentialism of like seeing other people move on or branch out, and it can be very easy for me to be like, no, let's just like all stick together and all make perfectly, you know, but I get that real life doesn't work that way so much.
Yeah, no, I've definitely felt that too a little bit, and like it is wild, you know, if we were to like teleport back to, you know, ourselves like 2 or 3 years ago when like everyone like, I mean, there was a show that we did at what was the house venue in Tempe? Not the Sunroom, but it was like I was
gonna say the Sunroom.
Is there something called like the Blue something? No, I'm just thinking it was the Blue Metal Dragon release show.
Oh, okay.
And it was like me, Snotty Man, Jalopy, Bungus,
I missed that event.
Dolly.
I don't think I was there.
Dude, it was a crazy lineup, you know? And, like, sometimes I wish I could, like, go back to, like, that version of myself and be like, yo, like, soak this shit up, you know? Because it's, like, beautiful. And, like, granted, like, I think everyone who has left and who has, like, moved, they've all done it for, like, the greater good. Yeah. And I think it does open up a really cool opportunity for the scene right now to see kind of, like, who fills in those spaces, you know? But I do feel like it's changed a lot. And I kind of figured that would happen because of COVID, you know, like I figured with COVID some people would kind of like just go back into their shell a little bit and like not necessarily put their art out so much. And
we'll see.
Yeah, I just feel like we're in an interesting like crossroad right now.
Yeah, I think as far as the talent, that is just completely here and continues to be. I mean, I feel like it's every week I find out about some person's page I haven't been following yet, but everybody else is, and they're putting out amazing stuff. I'm like, oh, there's another person I didn't know about. And it's like, with me and my filmmaker friends, you know, in theory, if we all just got together, put, you know, our gear that we all cumulatively own and, like, made, like, an Oscar-level, like, feature film together. Yeah. In theory, we could do that, but it's like, you kind of have to go to these other places where the industry is to make the connections to get, like, the funding or the distribution and all that shit. And, you know, obviously movies are kind of different from music. Now music, if you get a TikTok to go off, you could kind of be anywhere.
It's still kind of that same thing though of like trying to go elsewhere for the sake of like
to like make the stuff happen.
Yeah. I mean, like, dude, just simply like getting your music distributed through a different platform other than like DistroKid is like a huge fucking step up, and like it's so much more easy to get recognized by a Spotify playlist or like, you know, those type of things, which don't need to be these benchmarks of success. Like I'm trying to even like teach myself like none of these things need to happen for you to have like a successful music career, you know, or even to have a successful like music community or audience.
Well, I mean, for me, like I always am like zoomed out the most at just having a successful like life in terms of just health and happiness, you know? And I know like that I think for everybody should be most important.
Absolutely.
And for me, like as an artist, it's like, yes, I do want these big opportunities. Like I would love to make like feature films that are in movie theaters. I'd love to create cartoons. Like those are kind of my two biggest goals. But with everything I'm making now that's obviously smaller scale, my bottom line is like I want to make stuff as high quality as possible and as artistically true to what I'm trying to make as possible, and just see a concept through to like really what I want it to be. Yeah. And if I do that, I feel really satisfied and really successful, and I feel good. And I feel like that's probably roughly the same feeling I would have if I was making a bigger thing. Yeah. You know, the main thing is like if you want to keep doing that, you have to make money. Yeah. So then it's like, okay, do you want to do this as a hobby and have a job and nobody sees it? Or do you somehow elevate in a way to where like this is the job and everybody sees it? Yeah. You know?
It's a very strange thing to juggle when you're coming of age and you're mid-20, you know, 20-something.
Yeah. I just turned 27. And nice. You're 24 now?
24. Yeah.
Pretty similar.
Yeah, but yeah, so like I've just been totally just trying to reshift the way I look at like my career and success and all those type of things. And kind of like when I was saying earlier, like I wish I could go back to myself in 2019, 2020 when I'm like, look at all these dope people working together. Like this is so special. That's kind of what I'm doing right now for myself and my band of like, I'm making the most spiritually fulfilling, artistically gratifying music I've ever made with my favorite people on planet Earth. And I genuinely have a great support foundation audience of people who genuinely like me for who I am and my music that I distribute. And like, I'm just really trying to be like, this is it. Like, this is actually what it's about, you know? And I had a huge revelation about that a few months ago because I think I used to always, obviously, as an aspiring artist, you know, like you're like wanting to achieve these attributes of like, you know, whether it's like the major film or like for me it's like getting a deal or like going on tour. And I think I used to always like kind of wait for those things and let those things be the markers of success that I've always been wanting. But that was really rooted in like me putting my self-worth on these external validations of success.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the past couple of months I've been doing my best to like just melt those things away and just let the internal validation be there and just like let myself like appreciate this moment for what it is and let the music and the universe take me wherever it wants to go.
Yeah.
You know, like I've been lucky enough to continue to grow and have bigger opportunities throughout my career. So I think it's very likely that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I don't want to be like, I need these things to feel happy, to feel like I made it, to feel like I did right by doing music or whatever. Like I'm just trying to, you know, feel that right now, you know?
Yeah, I think that's why I think it's very important to just try to be artistically satisfied with whatever you're making at any level so then you can feel the joy of that because, you know, if you're kind of bending your, you know, personal standards for like what reflects you as an artist, you know, making whatever, you know, even if you don't care about it that much, just to like do what you think will be successful.
Yeah.
If one of those things does then catch success, like you might then realize you feel the same and then you're kind of empty because you know you chase the car and now you're like, what do I do? But I think that if you at any level are like, you know, proud of the work you've put in and you think it's really solid, then it's like, okay,
that's it. That's like the high.
Then you feel good.
Yeah. I watched a TikTok of like Mike Pozner, I think, the I took a pill in Ibiza dude.
I don't know that one.
What? You don't know, you know this song.
Do I?
Yeah. I took a pill in Ibiza. Dude, you know this song.
I'm not going to lie. I have had a tendency to just be out of the loop on some shit. 1.6 billion views.
You
okay,
know
hold
this
on.
shit.
I hope I do. Otherwise,
it's the remix? That might be it.
I mean, it has 2 billion views. It better be the right one.
Oh, this fucking remix is weird.
Is this not like it at all?
Wait, it might be it. I don't know,
wait,
man.
I hit the original has 44 million. That's still pretty big.
Just like this, you don't want to be stuck up on that.
Why do I remember this song to be so different? Look up Mike Pozner real quick. Anyway,
this is Mike Pozner. I took a pill in Ibiza.
But he had one other hit though.
Okay.
This is not going as planned.
I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea what that is, what we just looked at.
Bro, he Cooler Than Me.
Okay.
You'll know this.
Okay. This guy has, who the hell is Mike Pozner?
Dude, he was like a
you fall in love. I would already have you up under my arm. I use up all of my tricks.
I don't think I know
hope
this.
that you like this, but you probably won't.
2010?
You think you're cooler than me. You got designer shades just
Anyway.
So like, okay, 2010, I was a freshman in high school. This was probably peak hipster Zane, just anti-pop shit.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard this.
Wow. Well, you just got turned on to Mike Pozner.
Big Pozner heads in the chat.
I don't know. He had a TikTok just talking about his music career because he like blew up from that song, and then apparently like he was considered a one-hit wonder, and every single time he'd release a song after that, he pretty much just like went further down in the charts to the point where like he kind of gave up hope and was like, I'm just gonna make music because I love making music. Then he wrote the I Took a Pill in Ibiza, which I think is a bigger song than
I mean, clearly.
yeah. And like like that whole song to him he was talking about, I think the whole point was about like fucking up his chance or his shot or whatever.
Okay, but
anyway, I say all this and bring up this man to say he said something in a TikTok that stuck with me, where kind of like we're talking about right now, like the moment you make the song, the moment you make the film, the music video, you know, like that is the gratification right there. That's like the high right there. That's the fulfillment. And kind of like allowing it to stop right there and having everything that comes after that, you know, like the streams or the views or the likes or whatever, kind of letting that just be like the little cherry on top.
Yeah.
And letting that be like detached from, you know, like don't let that ruin what the song or what the film made you feel originally.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, even on like my social media, the only notification I have turned on is like messages.
Nice.
Because I don't know, if I'm just getting a like so-and-so like this, so-and-so like this, so-and-so,
Yeah.
it's like I would rather maybe at the end of the day like go
check
see like,
in.
oh, a bunch of people like this, that's
Yeah.
great. But if all day long I'm just getting this little like zzz, zzz,
Yeah.
it's like it doesn't, you don't feel anything from that really.
Yeah, I have that turned off too.
Yeah.
Honestly, man, if I want to, I think I'm getting there, because like earlier this year we took a huge break from shows and from social media. Luckily, a lot of people didn't even notice, you know, because I feel like I've always had a good way of, even if I'm not releasing music, to just be everywhere.
Right. Yeah, you're the offline guy.
Yeah. And so, you know, I took this huge break to focus on writing the new material and stop playing shows because it didn't feel right at the time. And I wasn't really posting because, I mean, I usually just post music-related stuff. You know, I'll throw in like some regular personal stuff. And that was around the time that I got super into my breath work and my spirituality and like really just like diving into like taking care of myself and my health. Yeah, like during that time, getting offline would feel so good, and I recognized like the validation that I was getting from social media likes or whatever was then replaced with like the purest validation that there is, which is just like true love in terms of like my relationship and my friendships and stuff. And it got me to a point where like I was like okay existing as like this offline guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I want to do more stuff like that, of just like weaving in and out, you know, like
Yeah.
I feel like when I am releasing stuff, I'm putting my whole heart and soul into it, and like I'm such a project-oriented artist, which is why I think I do an amazing job at like putting together shows, because my creativity is going into that flyer, going into the way I promote it, going into the set list, going into the house music I'm choosing, going into the merch, going into the like it's all, I work best as like a big canvas, you know,
Yeah.
rather than like one small thing.
I liked
And,
the flyers you made for the Tropicana
Thank you,
release
man.
show.
Yeah.
Your birthday show. Yeah,
Yeah,
those
yeah.
are nice looking.
Thank you. Yeah, shout out to homie Mario. He cooked those up. He's an amazing artist. But yeah, even like coming up with the vision board. Like if I showed you the mood board, it was all like 60s, 70s, retro, Miami, Cuban, like alcohol flyers that like all had like that same vibe and stuff. Like I find so much fulfillment in working with like a big moving, with a big piece with a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, totally.
And yeah, I just want to do a better job at like weaving in and out of like, right now I'm here, go stream Tropicana, out now, more music is on the way, and like promoting that fully. And I'm going to be pushing the single for a while because I have a lot of different plans to like push it. But then also being able to, sorry to interrupt, but like just
good.
being able to duck off, you know, and like just kind of disappear for like a month and like, you know, be on my meditation, hiking, you know, just hanging out with my girlfriend and my band type shit.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that, because like I think if you're gonna put in all this work towards some art, like having an intentional rollout and sharing it a bunch is a good thing to do, you know, because it's like, to me, respectful to all the time you put in making the thing, you know, because I love making stuff for myself, but at the same time, it's like I want people to see it and enjoy it if they're so inclined to.
Absolutely.
You know, but they're not going to unless I talk about it.
Yeah.
Like Tyler, I remember, you know, he's talked about how, like, you know, he'll promote his album for the entire year.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't just do it for the month, the release month, then back to hiding. And I remember when it came to Kendrick's album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, I remember he was tweeting, like, I'm promoting his album more than him.
Really? He tweeted that? I love that.
Yeah, because Tyler was like promoting Mr. Morale genuinely like a lot because he was just a big fan. And I think he said like, I'm promoting it more than him because Kendrick isn't like an online guy.
Well, yeah, because Kendrick could do that, you know? Yeah. That's like the type of, if I were to see this like massive amount of success, I would so be one of the Kendricks, one of the Frank Oceans of like, I'm here and then I'm ducking off and then I'm here. Yeah. Even Tyler, I think, does a kind of a good job at like kind of playing both roles where like when it's his album rollout, he's shining 100% and he's there. And then in between seasons, he's like popping up here and there and he's doing like a little festival performance and like you'll see a little excerpt of him, but he's like kind of just like ducked off, you know? Yeah,
well, I've said this a zillion times, but for me, like, my personal most inspiring artist is Donald Glover. And, like, you know, he's one of these guys where he'll be...
Shout out Atlanta, bro. Atlanta's one of the greatest shows. Dude, it has to be up there. It's like that and, like, Breaking Bad are, like, the best shows I've ever seen, I think.
Yeah, and, like, for me, you know, I think
also, I don't know if that's a bad opinion.
No, I think that's a great opinion. I co-sign that opinion.
It's just like Breaking Bad, Atlanta.
Yeah, that's Zane Berry, what you just described. You know, it's like he'll exit the internet for like an entire year, and then when he has something, he brings it. You know, and I think it does kind of flip the social media experience where like when you're a starting off artist, consumers are very like, you know, prove you should give me or I should give you my attention. You know, it's like people are kind of dancing and contorting to like their possible fans, you know, but then you get, you know, into this other sort of realm where it's the opposite, where now people like fans are like waiting and praying to get something, and then when they do, it's like everybody flocks to it, you know. It's like the opposite method to oversaturation.
Dude, but that's something I've done a lot for sure.
I think it's harder to do when you're starting off because in some ways I think it can be a bit of an ego thing, like being a new artist and then just expecting everybody to care about you even if you're not like putting forth an effort to be visible. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I feel like I definitely, in the beginning of my career, I was like doing every single show offer that I got, and I was trying to release as much music and post as much content and stuff, and that's totally fine for like being a rising artist. I feel like just where I'm at now, not that I'm like above that, you know, at all, but I feel like I just have a foundation and a real audience of people who like I said earlier, like genuinely like me and my music, to the point where like I can kind of like have an exclusivity around it, you know. That's why like I'm doing this merch rollout right now where I don't know how many pre-sales or the pre-orders, but a lot, genuinely.
That's
like
great.
We sold 30 at the show.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I think pre-orders right now are at like 60 to 70. And that's like an estimate of my count yesterday. And today I'm still like pushing it. So that's like damn near like 100 shirts that will be sold all around Tropicana, which is a testament of like the exclusivity factor. Like my last merch drop was like, I don't even know when it was for my last headliner, you know? So obviously, like, I'm not telling people to like replicate that method or that formula at all, because I think different artists need different things. But I think definitely for me, like, having a sense of like when I put something out, it's going to be my fullest, my most 100%. And if that means that we have to wait a few months, 6 months, if that means we have to wait a year, that's what's going to happen, you know?
I think you've done a very good job like defining your aesthetic and your vibe and kind of just what to expect like from within your world. And clearly you're very good at organically sort of home growing like an audience of people who are just excited to go have a fun time at a show. So like for you at this point, I mean, I don't know if you have the right catchy song. You know, I feel like you're good.
Tropicana, out now.
There you go.
I mean, dude, that's the most like poppy shit I've ever made. I don't know if you've had the chance to like listen to like the actual recording of it.
So I heard it first at the live show.
Nice.
And it's been a little bit of a busy week, so I've only listened to the studio recording like once. So I need to get a little bit more familiar. But it sounded good.
I mean, dude, that might be the viral, you know what I'm saying, sound. Because I love that song so much because it's such a clear distinction and contrast of kind of going back to what we were talking about originally, which is like how I've always wanted to be accessible, but at the same time, like, don't let that degrade my hip-hop lyricism or like any of those factors. The verses are so minimal, such little production, it's just me rapping, and it's not even like super rappy. It's so, someone called it conversational the other day, which is so cool, like that my rap style was considered that way. The verses are just me talking, me having a conversation with myself. And then the chorus comes in and it's like this full, you know what I'm saying, mosaic masterpiece of like very poppy and like polished and like glittery. And I feel like it just showed those two aspects of my artistry so well, where it's like you're gonna get some rap hip hop shit, but you're also gonna get some shit that like after a couple listens is gonna be stuck in your head.
Yeah.
You know? So
something I was gonna ask you, I kind of got a little bit of a half answer during my research. I wanted to ask you if you would ever record and release like on streaming like a live album.
Yeah.
And I've seen on your YouTube that you do have like recorded concerts, so you've sort of done that as like a video component. But
yeah, so I'm considering that for the upcoming release. So basically, like, I know I like teased at it earlier, but when I said I took the first like 6 months of the year pretty much off social media and shows and stuff, we wrote and like finished pretty much this album. But we've decided that we're not going to be releasing it as an album. It's actually just going in the vault. It's never coming out. No, JK. It's just going to release as smaller projects. And it works better for like the theme and the metaphor of the whole project. But releasing it in smaller bits just makes more sense. And I'm considering doing something like that for the release.
Can you say how many songs?
Yeah, so for overall, like on streaming services within the next year, we're gonna get 13 new songs of mine,
great.
which is awesome. Because like I don't even know how many songs I'll have out. I'll probably have like 25 or 26 out.
Sure.
So I mean, we're almost like, you know, that's like half of what I used to have out, and it's all new stuff that fully represents me right now, which is awesome. Like my girlfriend Tanya, she mentioned it on like one of our dates when I was like showing her some new music. And she was like, I just can't wait for these songs to be out because these songs feel like you, like right now.
Yeah.
And like if we were to go like play like, you know, Nirvana or something, like those songs are still great, but like it's such a time capsule of like that spiky hair, Pariah Pete, you know? And so I'm super excited just to share the new stuff that me and the band have been writing together. And some of those songs are recorded pretty DIY, meaning like you are kind of getting a live recording.
Yeah.
There is one song that was recorded fully analog in one take. But would we ever release like a live album? I mean, maybe for a release show, you know, we fuck around and record the audio.
Sure.
I mean, we already do that for all the shows just for the sake of note taking and listening.
Yeah. Well, the way I feel is like one of my absolute top artists ever is the White Stripes.
Okay.
And they have an incredible live album called White Stripes Under Great Northern Lights, which is when they did this Canadian tour for their final album. And, you know, he is... What you really get out of that is like this crazy rawness from the way he's like singing, and you know, like just coming in hot on the mic, all like sweaty from like playing a whole show.
I feel it the way you're talking.
And
you're singing.
Yeah, you know, and like he's playing guitar solos that he's just making up on the spot. You know, it's not like anything he had performed, and you know you hear the crowd and the drums just feel like way bigger.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a studio, you know, you're trying to make everything like clean, so to speak, and then this is kind of the opposite of that. It's all this raw energy of a concert.
Yeah.
And I think with you, like, hit the mic. I think with you, I like where I've seen you shine as a musician is like on stage in front of people, all having a fun time.
Absolutely.
So I think hearing your music with like, just for lack of better words, like more natural, like organic, like instruments, but then also like layering in like the audience.
Yeah.
You know, I think that would play really well.
That's a great point. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Maybe for a release show.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be fun too, because then I'd have to go into it being like, all right, motherfuckers, we are recording.
Welcome to the taping.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
That'd even be cool. Like I know like a lot of comedians will do like 2 shows or 3 shows all in one night, and then they'll like put it together.
Yeah.
Might fuck around, do something like that.
Well, kind of similarly, I mean, I think like lately my favorite comedy specials are the ones that are filmed in like clubs.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of comedians get so big and they start doing their specials in like arenas.
Yeah.
And it just feels like so unpersonal, you know? But you see, you know, like, I'm struggling for it. Like Shane Gillis, right? His special is clearly like in a smaller room. Yeah. And it just feels like fun and intimate. Like you can feel the people laughing. It just feels more real, you know? And so, I think that definitely translates to music too, you know, like at Crescent Ballroom or whatever.
Yeah.
Capturing that energy.
Yeah. What are some of your like favorite venues out here that you've like experienced? Like let's...
I'd love to talk about concerts.
Crescent Ballroom, amazing. Valley Bar, Rebel Lounge, 51 West, fucking The Nile, Van Buren, Marquee. Like, what are your favorites?
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I went to a lot of concerts, and pretty much every single one of them was the Marquee.
Okay.
So I just have this intrinsic nostalgia for being there, you know? Because that's like a medium-sized venue where it's like medium big even, you know? Like, you can have a huge crowd in there, but then also it's like the band can still feel like really close. Like, it can feel like you could touch them in a way. I mean, there's a barricade, but it's like they're like right there. It's not like an arena where you're far as hell and you're like looking at ants.
Yeah.
You know? And then the Van Buren, I think, is pretty much the same vibe of a venue. It's just like wider, lower ceilings, really, really nice like architecture in there.
Yeah, beautiful.
Their air conditioning is better. Yeah. You know, so like the Van Buren kind of feels like the clean, like better version of the Marquee now in a way. And so, but the Crescent Ballroom, like that's where I've seen like JPEG Mafia, Injury Reserve. I saw the band Sleigh Bells. Okay. Do you know them at all? I don't know if you would know this at all. They had this album in the 2010s. I think it was like 2010 that was like, so this band is, when they perform, it's just a singer and a guitarist.
Oh, damn.
But
oh, this is some 2000 shit.
Yeah, it's
like really?
2010. And they use like drum machines, you know, to just have these like blaring loud drums.
Interesting.
Yeah, the early Childish Gambino mixtapes. He did these 2 mixtapes of him just rapping over like alt rock songs, and that was one of them. And he would keep the vocals in.
Whoa.
But they had this other song called Real Real, which was based on like a Funkadelic.
Did she just
sample.
wear glasses?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, this is a whole different vibe.
Yeah, so this is like a Funkadelic sample.
Yeah.
And you know, they just kind of they create these like big soundscapes. I think they were the first Crescent Ballroom show I had seen, and they had like the brightest strobes ever. Like my friend actually knew that coming in, so he brought sunglasses.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
And I remember like she gave me like her bandana, and like, you know, the mic fell in the crowd, so she just had to like hop down really quick, and I was like, whoa, this is way different than the Marquee. Like, this is such a vibe. But then what's the Mesa venue that's down in the basement? Is that the Nile?
That's the Nile Underground.
Okay, yeah.
And then the Nile's upstairs.
I saw Zaire perform there.
Oh, very cool.
And that was the first time I'd ever even seen his music.
Yeah.
He's
a great artist.
Blown away.
Yeah.
He's crazy good.
Yeah.
That guy is like, if you need to like fill a Frank Ocean void or whatever, that guy is bringing the neo soul singing shit.
Yeah, his production's really cool too, and he's been doing a lot more like self-produced stuff recently that he showed me a little while ago, and his shit is sounding amazing. I love Z. So.
And a lot of his production was Fear of Making Out also, right?
Yeah, for the first EP that he released. I'm blanking on the name. It has the purple cover and it has like golden dove on it and stuff. Yeah. I don't know if it was FOMO as a collective or if it was just Jude Kellen. Who already does, you know, a lot of their production. But obviously, when they're working together, like they have a lot of different moving parts and stuff.
I remember Jude and Cesar were like on stage with him doing like
doing
whatever they do, twisting knobs and stuff.
Doing nothing, twisting knobs.
It's like DJs. I'm like, what do you do?
Yeah. I missed that show. I think I was out of town. But yeah, that's actually where our next show's at.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So I haven't performed there in a long time. I haven't performed there since I was just doing like some rap shit, you know, with just a DJ. When I used to just pull up to a show with the USB and be like, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Put your hands up. So that's where our next show is with this dope band called Belgium Tree.
Okay.
They're like 19 years old.
Okay.
They are, it's kind of hard describing their music. They're very much like indie rock, but like very maximalist in terms of production, and kind of have like a Injury Reserve type like influence, and also like a FOMO type influence. They sound very Arizona, which is cool.
Okay.
So they're incorporating these like hip hop production elements with 808s and also like alt production.
Could I pull them up?
Yeah, Belgium Tree. They should have their stuff on YouTube. I don't want to go to college. That shit got almost 2K views. Fuck yeah. They're almost like hyper indie, you know? This shit's cool though.
Yeah, this is cool drums. Oh, that's like such a shift.
Yeah.
That's not what I was expecting at all.
I'm excited for the show. You should pop out. It's October 5th.
Yeah,
Dude, they're doing numbers right now.
Yeah, this is great. Oh, they have like so many change-ups.
Yeah. Dude, they have so many moments in their music.
Playing it low so it doesn't go into the mics too much when I'm screen recording the audio, so
Bet.
in the edit I'll be able to.
Bet.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna listen. Yeah, this is really good.
Hell yeah.
The hell, 180 subscribers?
Yeah. I mean, like what we were talking about earlier with like the scene adjusting so much and like shifting so much, like these are the type of people that are like kind of filling that role.
I'm gonna subscribe to them again.
Oh, subscribe. Got you 2 subscribers, Keanu and Jace. Yeah, Keanu actually. So it's just a 2-piece. They perform with more musicians, but it's just Keanu and Jace. Keanu actually has production credit on my album that's turning into different projects and stuff.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so yeah, they're all ex-students of Jacob, my guitarist.
Oh,
yeah. So
okay.
they all went to Metropolitan Arts Institute, which I was a guest speaker at like 6 months ago. And yeah, so we're doing like they're doing a show. It's their second headliner. They sold out their first headliner, and then they asked us to do support. So obviously, I'm gonna fucking bring my people.
Oh, great!
And it's probably gonna be a fucking fantastic night. I'm super excited.
Yeah, what do you know what the date is for that show?
Yeah, it's October 5th.
Great.
So I don't know when this is coming out, but October 5th, the Now Underground.
Before then.
Belgium Tree X Pariah Pete and the Mercuries. Gonna be a genuine great ass show. I mean, in terms of energy, it's like such a fun mix. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm happy that we had our Linger Longer birthday Tropicana celebration show. That was our first show in 6 months. I'm so happy that we have something lined up to like go capitalize on that because, you know, after not performing for so long, I'm like so hungry to just like get on stage again.
Yeah.
But do it the right way, like not accept dude, we get so many show offers. Like we turn down a lot of them. So
that's great.
Yeah, just having something that I'm genuinely excited about, and these are the homies, and it's gonna be fun as fuck. And I'm gonna just bring a whole new aesthetic to the stage. Genuinely, yeah. I think I'm gonna approach my performance a lot differently this time, so I'm excited.
Like just the way you deliver, or do you want to, or like media aspects?
Yeah, so like I think, you know, the audience is such a big part of my show, you know, and like, I mean, from the couple shows that you've been to, like I interact with them a lot and I'm telling people like, put your hands up, you know, help me with these lyrics, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think I want to be a lot more like, just focus inward, you know, a lot more on this performance and just interact with them in different ways, truthfully for like just like a practice, you know, like, you never really know how something's going to go, obviously, until you just try it out.
Yeah.
And Jacob and I will, like, theorize about those type of things a lot. Like, oh, we've never chose this song at first. What if we just do it and see how it feels? Like, so much of art and creativity is literal just, like, decision-making, you know? And, yeah, I just want to approach this one differently. And, like, I mean, I've always been one to, like, get on stage, and the first thing you hear is, what the fuck is up? Insert venue. Make some fucking noise. Like, I don't want to do that this time. I want to just, well, yeah, I don't want to expose too much, you know?
Sure,
but
yeah,
yeah. So, I mean, if someone's this deep in the podcast, you know, and they're going to the show, then you get to know. But, yeah, I think I just want to, yeah, just approach my stage presence differently.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, the most memorable concert moments I have had is when people do stuff really intentionally, whether or not there's, like, a mystique to them and they're barely acknowledging the crowd and they're in just, like, this whole choreographed thing, or if they have incredible lights. Like, for instance, recently, for the third time, I saw the band Phoenix. You know, and they're a French band. The first time I saw them, you know, I loved their famous album Wolfgang Amadeus Phoenix that a lot of people know for Listomania in 1901. They were touring for their album right after that. I'm like, okay, I'm a pretty good fan of them. I don't, you know, like know them, but best show I'd ever seen in my fucking life.
Nice.
And at that point, I'd been to a lot of concerts.
Yeah.
And so now I just go anytime they come back.
Yeah.
They have the craziest light show I've ever seen.
Hell yeah.
And the lead singer does this really interesting thing where towards the end of the show, he'll switch to this mic where the cable must be like 500 feet long.
Yeah.
He will just hop into the crowd of the marquee, walk to the entire back of the venue, then like loop around the other way, and then he'll just do like multiple songs just in the crowd.
Holy shit.
And I've seen him do it every single time.
Wow.
And this most recent show, like on his way back, he walked like literally towards me and my brother, and he just put his hands on my shoulders, and he just jumped up for us to like hold him pretty much, you know. And I was just like, damn, this is so cool. And you know, I've seen other shows where the music is great, but they're not necessarily bringing like an X factor, you know. And obviously on like a earlier like low budget end, it's a little bit harder to think of those types of things. But yeah, anytime somebody can have just some little interesting aspect to their performance, it's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's like one of the funnest parts about being on stage is like having those natural organic moments arise, you know, like when you're just like interacting with the crowd and something spontaneous happens that like only happens at that one show. I think that makes it special for you as a performer and like for the audience.
Yeah. So, oh, you know, here's something I'll put you on to. There's this great interview. So I wouldn't even call it an interview. It's like a conversation. So
I love Vince Staples.
Yeah, and he's one of my favorite people in general, even outside of music, just to hear in like interviews.
Yeah.
This is a conversation between him and Styles P, you know, who's like an older generation rapper, and it's actually moderated by Joey Badass. So it's really the three of them. And they're kind of talking about their different approaches from like old rap to new. And something that Vince says that kind of blows his mind is he says, I actually design the live show and then I write the album to fit the live show.
That's insane.
So the music is actually based on his performance, which is kind of crazy.
That's very
because
cool.
I saw him for Big Fish Theory.
Yeah.
That was a double tour with Flower Boy. Crazy show.
Yeah.
And that show, he had this like wall of screens and, you know, together they made like one joint image. But at times they would all like articulate away from each other because they were clearly on like a rotating thing. And like it would like look like he was like in outer space because there were like stars going in different directions.
Yeah.
I'm like, you must have like thought of this and then made this like kind of like nightclub sounding album, you know. And Styles P was like, what? That's crazy. And he was like, listen, if 20 years ago people were paying to come see you and, you know, your friend just like DJing at like a fold out table, he's like, I think it's disrespectful if 20 years later we haven't like evolved to bring a newer, bigger, like, you know, audience experience.
That's very cool.
He was kind of thinking of it like as like an innovation in like maybe not technology, but just in general, you know, like things should just be better than how they were before over time. And I was like, whoa, that's like such a cool way of thinking about it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Damn. Shout out Vince Staples, man.
He's the best.
Every single time I see an excerpt of him on social media, I'm like, this guy's fucking hilarious and so smart.
He's so smart.
Like, so much smarter than all of us.
But also,
Vince Staples for president, bro.
Have you seen that clip where he's talking about how none of his friends or his partners know
like
where his house is?
Yeah.
They've never been to his house.
Can't tell if it's a bit or not. Regardless, I love it.
I think it's dead serious.
That's insane, man.
So how did you wind up opening for like Doja Cat and Earth Gang and all these big artists?
Yeah. Amazing opportunities, first off. Doja Cat was super cool. That was all through 101.1 AZ The Beat, so local radio station out here, hip-hop, that like really fuck with me. I've been played on their radio station like so many times. And at the time, their event coordinator was someone who I was working with a lot personally. And she was just showing super like a lot of love and popping out to my shows, and like, you know, we were working on different events together. And she hit me probably like 2 weeks before the event. I didn't even know about it at that point. And she was just like, oh, so we have Doja Cat coming into the Valley to do like the Heartbreakers Ball. I think it was supposed to be on Valentine's Day. And she was like, we're looking for support. Like I wasn't just like the opener on at like 5:15 and she was on at 9. I was on at I think 8:45 and I played a 20 to 30 minute set, and then she was on at 9:30.
That's
great.
So
I was like direct support, me and the band. And so she hit me up about it, and I was like, Fucking obviously. Like, what? Like, I did, like, Say So was the #1 song in the country at the time. And I was just super stoked on it. And I remember that announcement was, like, fucking huge. I think that announcement, I'm not on Twitter nowadays, but, like, I think that announcement's still, like, my most liked tweet ever, where it's like, I'm opening up for Doja Cat. And, yeah, that whole show was, like, a crazy learning experience. I had a great time for the most part. I also felt a little bit of like a tug of war of like styles, because I chose to do half of the set with the band and half the set with the DJ.
Okay.
Which I guess was the perfect like bridge between two eras, but I think looking back I would have just done full band, obviously. And yeah, that was still, I think, the biggest gig I've ever played. It was for 3,500 people at Stratus Event Center at a random ass venue out here. And yeah, it was wild. And then Earth Gang, and then yeah, fucking COVID shut down everything like a week later. So I mean, I was at that point where at the time I opened up for Doja Cat, I also had a gig lined up to open up for Smino and Burhana, which are both amazing and talented artists. And so I had those 3 gigs lined up within like 4 months, and I was like, bro, I might be out of here, you know, like with those 3 shows back to back to back. COVID shut down everything. And then, yeah, doing the whole Earth Gang thing, they tagged up with Pigeons and Planes, who they were like, we're going to do a local artist from each city. So submit. Pigeons and Planes, if you don't know, it's an amazing publication. Yeah. And, yeah, they were submitting. And so I pretty much submitted through all ways possible to make it happen. So Annabelle, who I mentioned earlier in this podcast, shout out Annabelle, shout out That Good Shit, showing me hella love on all the releases. She went on tour with them actually to be like their content creator for like a few days, or I think the whole tour. And so I just hit her up and I was like, yo, I just submitted. Is there any way you could put in a good word? And then I submitted through Pigeons and Planes. And then I also hit up the venue themselves, the Van Buren, which obviously like I'm grateful enough to say like I have a relationship with all the venues out here just because I've played pretty much all of them, or sold out almost nearly all of them.
Yeah.
And when I hit up the venue, they were like, oh yeah, like we know who you are. We think, like, they literally were like, the way that you sell physical tickets is fucking insane. We've been a fan of you for a while. We think you'd be a great fit for the show. I'll hit them up. So I hit it up from like all angles, and within like 24 hours I was like locked in.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So that was an amazing experience. Originally it was supposed to be with the band, and then I think they may have been like running late, or like something happened from a production standpoint where they didn't have enough time to do like a proper sound check and proper load in, and like, I mean, it was just a lot, you know, it was a big tour already. Mm-hmm. And so like the day before they hit me, they're like, yo, like you're just gonna have to do a DJ set, which was honestly, bro, like heartbreaking for me, because I mean, dude, I was like nervous for the show, you know, like it wasn't as many people as Doja Cat, but it felt bigger to me, you know. It was the Van Buren, like that's like my dream venue, you know, to play at, and it's Earth Gang, which is like a lot more aligned with my artistry than a Doja Cat. Love Doja Cat, but obviously like in terms of fan bases, like I knew I was gonna have a bigger audience, you know, for Earth Gang. And yeah, they hit me up the day before, and bro, I'll be honest, like I like sobbed about it. Like I just cried just because I was so overwhelmed with like, not even necessarily nervousness, but it was like all these things, because just like Doja Cat, it's actually crazy, I never thought about it this way. We had a sold out headliner 2.5 weeks before Doja Cat. For Earth Gang, we had a sold out headliner like 3 weeks to a month before that. So it was after like big personal solo shows and solo W's, and then we immediately get like this huge blessing to do a bigger gig, you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just feeling so much, and I talked to my guitarist about it. He's like, dude, you're gonna do great, like you're gonna be fine. And so yeah, I ended up just going up there with my DJ and producer Stravs, and fucking killed it. That's, in my opinion, like top 5, top 3 best performances of myself.
Sick.
I went up there and just told a story first. I was like, you know, 2 years ago I came to the same venue to see the same group, and I stood right there. 2 years later, I'm on stage. So if you don't leave with anything else after the music, you could leave with the fact that like you could do it too, or like something like, you know, tongue in cheek, like, you know, like that. And from that moment, I just had the audience like hooked, you know, and everyone was just giving me their full attention and like energy. And yeah, man, I played a short set. I probably played like 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
So it was like 5 songs, but
Yeah.
those 5 songs were all bangers, in
Yeah,
terms
that's
of like
great.
energy and stuff.
And something you do that's really unique is you like hand deliver the physical tickets
Yeah.
to people. If somebody wants to go to your show, you will drive to them and give them the ticket. In hand.
Yeah, some psychopath behavior for sure. That was something that we started as 20 pounds, and like at the time I used to just sell like 30 tickets to a show, 50 tickets, and everyone else at 20 pounds was bringing about the same people. Well, I think for the first show I sold like 100 tickets, and like everyone else sold their part and stuff. And it was something that was like, so many of my fans and supporters and people who liked coming to my shows, they liked that aspect of me. And so when I went solo, when we all went solo, I just continued that, and then I really like maximized on that so much more when I was selling out like the Pub Rock by myself, and Valley Bar, and Crescent with Saya and FOMO and stuff. And yeah, it became such a part of my promotion process to the point where like there was one day for the Fear Making Out Saya show at Crescent Ballroom that I sold 64 tickets and delivered them in one day.
One day?
Dude,
you did
one day.
64 deliveries?
For that show, like I sold whatever. But 64 tickets.
That's
bro,
crazy.
in one fucking day, which was fucking insane.
Did you find yourself like getting on the freeway going one direction and then back
dude,
and then back?
yeah,
Where you're
yeah.
like, fuck, I was here earlier. I could have just.
I mean, yeah, but like I don't even like I don't hold any like frustration for
Yeah.
that type of stuff. I'm just like, oh, whoever's DMing me right now and wants the ticket right now, I'm pulling up. Unless it's like obnoxious, and unless I like know them really well, that I know that they're going to like just buy this ticket later. You
Yeah.
know, like I have a homie who like has been coming to all my shows, and he lives like way in fucking Queen Creek, and there have been multiple days that I'm just like, yo, I'll slide tomorrow, or
Yeah.
like, yo, can I come at like 7 p.m. or like when's convenient for me? But for the most part, I'm just taking those tickets like first come, first serve. And yeah, I'm gonna do it for my next headliner, which is
Yeah.
crazy. And yeah, man, it's just a part of the whole process. And yeah, it's been a way that like, I mean, I delivered one to your fucking doorstep for I think Zona Fest.
It was for Zona Fest.
Yeah. Which that I wasn't even expecting to sell physical tickets for. They hit me with them like a week before, and I sold. They gave me 25. I sold those in 24 hours. They gave me another 25, 24 hours, 25, 24 hours. Bro, I sold 75 tickets for Zona Fest literally in 3 days, like 25 each day.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's, obviously, like, if you want to think about it as a business thing, it's like a cool marketing thing. But I think also just for, like, what we've been saying about your organic ability to sort of just connect with people and want to get people to be interested, that's a very good way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the way of doing it for sure.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, even when I don't have the physical ticket, I feel like I'm still approaching a promotion of a show still that much like personally, like for instance the Tropicana show, like I think I invited you like literally like the day before.
You did. Yeah.
And that was a lot of the people, like, or the people that was like for my friends, family, people that I just like saw or like we've communicated with recently, I'd be like, yo, pop out, like even when I don't have the physical ticket, it's still very much like a personal thing.
Yeah, I had a good time too. I was glad I was glad you told me to come.
Hell yeah.
We can wrap up in a second. There was one more thing I wanted to ask you about. So you work at a music venue.
Yes.
And recently freaking Keanu Reeves came in to perform with his band. How was that?
Oh, it was cool, man. Yeah, I bumped shoulders with him. He said he likes Tropicana, he said he likes Sunkissed. No, I did pretty much bump into him though on accident. That was very wild because like I heard about the show and I was like, all right, you know what I'm saying?
It's a small venue.
Yeah, well, so we hold 520 people. I work at Crescent Ballroom, and I didn't really like fully think about the magnitude of his celebrity coming into a venue like that.
Yeah.
And so like when I was setting up for the day and I'm like helping set up the patio, I'm like putting fucking stools out and shit. And like Keanu Reeves is like smoking a cigarette, drinking a fucking lemon lime Gatorade at table 42, which is like where the employees hang out like after work. I was like, oh, this is kind of fucking crazy, you know, like this is actually wild.
You're like, that's Neo.
Yeah.
That's John Wick.
It's literally the Matrix, bro. So yeah, and backstage he was like coming out of the artist bathroom, and I think I was training someone that day, or I was like showing someone like, yo, this is like where we keep like the cups and stuff. I like accidentally like bumped into him. I was like, my bad, sir. But yeah, that was a wild experience. Working at a music venue has been an amazing experience, honestly. Like, being able to be in a place where like I've been able to have a deeper understanding of the ins and out of like tour life, how brutal it is, how expensive it is, having a more like realistic view of what it takes to be a touring artist, understanding views and Spotify streams don't correlate to ticket sales and vice versa, you know? And it's been wild, and like it's been a super awesome learning experience, and definitely one of the best decisions I've ever made for sure. A decision that was made at such a cool time in my life. It was around the time that we played Crescent last time, and I was able to like generate enough revenue off that show where I was like, I'm gonna take a little sabbatical for like 2 months. And I traveled a lot. I think that was the first time I went to New York. I was out in LA. I was out, you know, in Northern California and stuff, and I came back with the realization of like, oh, if I'm gonna be working in the service industry, you know, serving, bartending, bar backing, bussing, whatever it is, I might as well do it at a place that like I'm also soaking in more info, you know, and like experiences for the live show and stuff. So I applied there and I got the job like pretty immediately, and been there like almost 2 years now. So.
Hell yeah.
And I'll make little TikToks about it, and I go viral every time, bro. Every single TikTok I make at fucking work always goes viral.
It's a good formula.
Yeah, dude, I'm just POV. You work at an indie music venue.
Yeah.
My Faye Webster one got like fucking like 100,000 likes or some shit.
Oh, hell yeah.
It was crazy.
Well, listen, thanks for coming in, and let's plug your shit you got going on.
Pariah Pete, aka Pariah like Mariah with a P. You feel me? Tropicana out now. More music on the way. You can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on X, Twitter. I don't really be on there that much. TikTok. Music on Spotify, Apple Music, all that shit. I appreciate you welcoming me. You know what I'm saying?
Course.
Happy we finally made it happen.
Then you have new merch as well.
Yes. So actually, the merch orders are gonna be done by the time this is out. So I really just wanted to keep it exclusive.
Yeah.
But there will be more merch. There will be another show. Thank you for reminding me. For October 5th at the Nile Underground with Belgium Tree, Pariah Pete and the Mercuries, and we're gonna have another merch drop there. So
hell yeah,
much love. Appreciate you. Thanks, dog.
Yeah, thank you.